All right, we ready? All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Come under here.
All right. Roll call, please.
Mayor Kapaz.
Here.
Mrs. Passio. Here. Mr. Ramirez.
Here.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Here.
Mr. Farrell.
Here.
Mrs. Kelly. Yes. Here. Mr. Shapiro.
Here.
Mr. Long.
Here.
Mr. Basor.
Here.
And Ms. Strelly. Here.
Okay, no hurry.
Remember, he's moving.
I knew he was moving, but I thought he was back there. Okay, public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act is begun by the clerk in the following manner. 1, posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Clerk's office on January 6, 2021, and 2, emailed to the retrospective hearing notice on January 6, 2021. First order of business is Resolution 21-121. It's a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection form TWA-1 relating to the application for the sanitary sewer extension and pump stations project. So just to be clear with this, Mark, do you want to just at least let everyone from council know where we are in all this process?
We're finalizing the sewer plans, and the next step is to submit to CCMUA, who have to endorse the plan, and then it moves to NJDEP. So one of the forms is a TWA Treatment Works Authority application. So that's what we're trying to do, is get all the paperwork in order. We're finalizing the plans, reviewing them with Harry and the rest of the public works. Once everything is finalized, we'll be submitting through Camden County CCMUA, and then they in turn will forward to NJDEP. We need authorization from the borough for the mayor to sign all the documents, and that's what that resolution is.
Aren't some of these homes in another town?
There's a couple.
Yes.
So do they have to sign off on this also, the other towns?
Not on the application. There's you have a shared service agreement you're getting with Barrington where those residents can tie into your system using the fee structure outlined in your ordinance.
Sales, which we have reciprocal for a lot of properties.
Okay,
And Barrington has agreed to pay for their portion of the road restoration.
okay.
Because just to be clear, even though this is called a sewer extension project, it's also a huge road project. Because like we're doing, I know we were going to, you want to talk about that? So it's basically repaving all these roads. So Davis will be repaved, the Sunset site will be repaved. ADA compliancy will be on the corners of where the kids get picked up on the buses. It's an opportunity for us to really clean up that street, which is, a major thoroughfare for us. If anybody goes up and down that, like, there's a lot of people walking and running, so it's not, I don't know whose it is.
I'm afraid it's like me breathing or
That's
something.
what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's a one-inch wire. So I might as well report about that. We are in the process of getting new microphones. Ms. Pinto, with the court personnel, the court has to upgrade their system for recording, and their software is out of date. So in the future, there'll be 2 monitors there. And one monitor shows the software for the court reporter, and then the other monitor, I forget what the other monitor does, but it does something else. But the microphones, they'll still be wired microphones. And the reason that the vendor who came in, I'm going to tell you why. They said that if you use all wireless, the batteries die. And now you go to a meeting and no one remembers to plug their batteries in.
So ran properly.
But it'll all be new. So they'll replace these with up-to-date. I mean, these are what, 25 years
How about
old?
from up here to down to that table? The cables will walk over?
There'll be some wireless down there. I think there was at least 2 wireless to remove some of that. So there was some positive, but that was one of their concerns. If you do all wireless, who's going to remember to charge the batteries?
No, she said after every meeting, you have to remember to turn the mic off, each individual.
Yeah, that doesn't.
And it doesn't happen. So anyone who got the wireless mics complained after that, they were sorry that they did it.
Yeah.
So,
But obviously, these wires have been, tattered over the years. The way it's set up down there is bad. So this company is a state contract.
Okay, my point is, upgrading everything is, if we don't do the infrastructure, the cables and all that.
Yes.
it's done.
So it's cables, microphones, some portable microphones, computers, recording system, software, and then the last part of it was it ties in with the camera,
Oh.
And then the camera allows us to, I forget exactly how she said it. Was it
You could live stream.
one camera here, one camera that way?
Mhm.
So it's for recording, it's for live streaming, because say that I have a meeting tomorrow night in the planning board in West Orange. You know, it's great, I get to do it from my living room. I don't have to drive up there.
Nice.
So I still believe that the future will entail some aspect of those kind of meetings. So maybe the future is, you don't make a meeting, but you're still allowed to show up online. Was there anything else I missed about that?
No, but she threw me another curveball yesterday. She said there's a new program that enables us to do machine transcriptions. And I don't know everything about it yet. She's going to send somebody to show. I talked to Teresa. They said they want to see how it works.
So right now, Teresa types
We know
everything.
we did a transcript recently, and it cost us over $800 for a 2-hour transcript for planning board. This would be $1 a page. I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's software, hardware. I don't know.
Only when you request it?
Yes, but, or maybe you do, I don't understand how it works.
Okay.
So they're just gonna send somebody down, and Teresa and Kathy are gonna look at it, because none of us know what it is and how accurate can it be. If any of you now get those transcriptions of phone calls, some of them are right the way they turn out. So I don't know if it's upgraded from that, so I don't know yet.
I think it's usual. Is there a wire by your foot?
No.
Can we just turn off all the microphones?
No, we have to record. We really are. Maybe it's the two microphones next to each other?
Maybe it's storming already.
I was feeling like that for a
Too late.
Look at that. It's the two microphones too close.
Hey, look at that.
So,
Rick,
okay.
a question about the live streaming?
Yeah.
Because that's going to be a great opportunity for the community to get involved, to see what we're doing,
Oh, absolutely.
and make it more fun.
Anytime that we've posted stuff, that's out there, I think it's always been.
Are we going to have somebody, is there anybody in our IT department or whoever puts the system in, are they going to show us how to do that?
So the idea of purchasing this system would be that part of the system will be to either work with us or help us put this stuff out there. They're going to set it all up for us and then help us keep going,
Including the live stream?
including that. The idea that it would be
That's
part of
good.
our website and then you could look up an old meeting.
When you talk to somebody, and all of us, check it out, get on it, watch.
Yeah.
A lot more people will join.
But the
this
idea that
meeting.
there still be an opportunity possibly to communicate during the meeting. Okay, I didn't mean to jump on that. So the only thing I want to talk about this resolution is, if anybody knows about this sewer extension project, it's been going on for years. There's a tremendous amount of cost, but it's something that's been not done since the 50s. So I just want everybody to be prepared. This is still a massive project. This is something that no one wanted to do, and I absolutely know why no one wanted to do this. I am very understanding. So Bob's going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to be on vacation for those 4 months that the roads are being torn up. So would someone like to make a motion to approve Resolution 21-121?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 21. What it was?
121.
121?
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Passier, second by Mr. Lobenstein. Roll call, please.
Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein?
Yes.
Mrs. Passier?
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri?
Yes.
And Mr. Shapiro?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And resolution is adopted. New business discussion. So we're going to have a public hearing on the ordinance at Schistler Circle and Reed. So I know that the Public Works Department's already marked it out. So we'll get that up there, and this way the police will be able to enforce it. Chapter 159 for the recreation grant, because we received the $25,000, we have to insert it into the budget. Is that correct? So that's what we're going to do, a resolution to put that in there.
And this is for the bridges.
This is for the bridges, yeah. So just to talk about that a little bit, we're going to have to speak to our volunteers, our Public Works Department, people like that, to decide how we're going to spend this money. Where are we going to get the most bang for the buck?
Why, I thought Mark was looking into that.
Are we talking about?
I don't believe
Yeah,
so.
we're talking about bridges.
Mark doesn't want to go into the woods.
We put the
It was on the
application.
application
We put the
that
application
was
together
going to
for you.
throw you into what was it? Reimagine Runnemede.
Once again, to get our people together and come up with a plan that matches the application, but everyone knows what it is. It's the bridges, it's, you know, it says trash cans and entrances and all those kinds of things. So where do we spend the money? What do we do? So
When and how?
I think it's a recreation, public works, engineering, green team.
Reimagine.
Reimagine
Runnemede.
Runnemede, because they're the point people of this.
They are, but it is the borough's money,
I know that.
okay?
Borough property's gotta be safe.
Yep. Pay rate adjustments.
What?
Just can't be logs going across the river.
Yeah, the logs is tough.
I like those logs.
I've seen you cross the
Did
logs
you
several
see?
times. Pay rate adjustment for part-time EMTs, just to remind everybody, it's been a tough year with EMTs and with personnel in general. To be clear, the rate increases that were recommended are 60 cents. 60 cents. So 60 cents for part-timers who work less than 30 hours a week. That was for the, once again, we're relying on our department heads to tell us what to do. These people who are working for us, we're trying to keep everybody as happy as possible. It's not always possible, but we're trying. Should I dispel the rumors, or you took care of the rumors? Thank you. Once again, our EMS is doing a good job. We have times where we are what's considered out of service. Out of service is when someone doesn't show up to work. It happens because we do rely on part-timers. Let's be honest. Our full-time employees are extremely reliable. Our part-time employees are subject to their other commitments. So I will say that I don't know if Ms. Kelly's heard anything different, but I've only heard that things have been going okay.
Yes, the deputy coordinator, Joe Ferret, has been very successful in keeping the schedule
Good.
filled. I've been pleased with what.
Well, that's
he's
great.
done.
That was one of our goals. That's
Yeah.
great.
So he's really on that.
So if there's no objection to that, that'll be as just a resolution for that, those small incremental raises. A vehicle for auction, I'm not familiar with this, is this the?
Oh, it's on all
The last
those
white
old
one.
cars.
Okay. We're not just gonna set it on fire and?
No,
Yeah, I think we're getting a couple thousand,
we're
aren't
gonna do
we?
good on that.
Okay. A disallowance for senior vet deductions, I think there was an audit that was done.
Now, when we did the billing, we discovered several people who had these deductions and are now deceased. And they have no surviving spouse that would get it, so, yes.
Okay. I'm gonna save this cannabis for the end after we get done. Facade enhancement, I do wanna jump on. So if everyone recalls, we've been trying to push the business owners, the property owners on the Black Horse Pike, all the businesses in the town to fix up their buildings. For, I think, 2 years now, I think we put $15,000 into an account, and no one has applied, no one's asked for it, no one's done anything that was eligible. So because of this neighborhood preservation program, because of this American Relief Act money that we have, Mr. Long has created a ordinance which is a little more specific that allows council to, someone puts an application in, by committee, council will look at it, council will see it, it'll go to council prior to the meeting, so Mr. Long doesn't want to sit here and talk about the color of buildings, and then,
Sunshine violation.
Sunshine
It would be, yeah, we'd be begging this out.
so council then pass a resolution that says, we're going to pay for the painting of a building, we're going to pay for the replacement of sidewalks or some type of exterior. Now, these are all exterior improvements to the commercial district.
Are we talking about, in addition to the money we put aside, you're talking about the money that we'll be receiving, future money?
So the money we have received already is the American Relief Act, which is $868,000 or $848,000. Some of that money can be allocated through the budget process or just an allocation process.
So here's a chance to start the redevelopment and get the business owners to know that, are we looking for a set figure? We're moving towards, we want to invest a lot of money in our redevelopment zones.
So the way the application and the ordinance have been tweaked is it's basically council's decision. So say an applicant comes in and everyone likes the application. The amount of money is based on, I hate to say it, how this body feels. If it seems like it's a decent application, it can be more money than not. When we first did it, we limited it to $5,000.
$5,000.
If you read the rest of it.
So in the ordinance, I did set the limit for 5, you gotta set a limit.
I actually changed it.
We can change
Alright,
this
fine.
anytime we
Just as
want,
long as
right?
you're aware.
I would, if you see the application I sent back to you guys, I took out that the planning board approved it, that council approved it, the committee
That
approved it,
part
the
I
council.
saw.
But then I added that the amount could be 5,000 or what council decides.
So it should be less.
Yes.
I did not see that, right, it was the max, so should we set a max? Or?
So I'll resend it to you and I'll just highlight it. I didn't redline it, I should have.
No, it's the latest version.
At the time, we only had a few $1,000s, but
I
now
would say
we've got
20,
this.
if we don't need a max, we shouldn't have it.
I agree.
If somebody comes
And I
up with
didn't-
an amazing idea of one of the larger businesses,
I took it out.
Size of the building.
They missed it.
No match?
No, I didn't say that either. Once again, it's the discretion of the council. There's a discretion aspect of it. So every application can be taken on its own merits.
I like that.
You look at it on its own merits, it's based on a funding, so the CFO will say yes or no, that the funding is available. You know, we then decide, and I agree, the matching could be, instead of 50%, it could be 20%. It could
depends
be
on how
zero,
we
it could
feel,
be
depends
75%.
on how we feel the impact will be.
Yes.
So, do we want to somehow and possibly move forward with our business organization we're trying to get together? And bring this out? as
That would be a
some
separate,
kind of
separate thing.
To
Bring
bring out the idea of where we're going with this, that we're past the 5,000, there's lots of opportunity out there. How do we want to get the word out to business owners and investors?
So-
It's on our website.
Once we have the ordinance correct, we have the application correct, then it's incumbent upon us to figure out how to get it out. Do you send a letter out? Do you put it on the website? Do you invite everybody to? For 2 years, we wanted to have a meeting with all the business owners. We were in the middle of a pandemic, that it's difficult to bring 200 people into a room.
Well, this would be something fantastic to roll out and help organize that business, in fact, that community, the business community, so.
We have a potential first application. So our first application, it has not been received yet, but the first application, and I think it's the most prominent building in town, is the building adjacent to us. The old camera stop, which this council approved, the tattoo place.
There's another one too.
What's
Someone
that?
came in today with one.
Really?
The one across the street?
Oh,
He came in,
Thatcher's
he's
old
got it
building.
all filled out, but he has some questions for you.
Oh,
He's gonna
Thatcher's
call you.
office, right?
Great.
Oh, Thatcher's office?
Thatcher's office.
That's great. So the camera stop finally has a tenant after 6 years of being empty. I think that's a place where we can have a great impact on painting the building and doing some landscaping. While the property owner, his in-kind contribution is the doors and the windows and those kind of things, which, you know, this empty building that's been there. So we might want to be heavier on that one and lighter on another one. So I think we just have to look at each one. But that one I think would be a great one. The Thatcher's building, once again, that's been empty for how long?
Yeah, long time.
Maybe more, I don't even know how long.
You know what his question is? It says in here 5,000, and then they have to match 5,000. Well, that's this year. Suppose next year he wanted to do something else. Can he go again?
We're not against that.
Can he apply again?
I believe that, I think if we leave the language as vague as possible, council, I think it gives us as much strength as making a decision.
Council's discretion.
It does, but that's a slippery slope as well.
Anything to the will.
I mean, listen, we've had people ask us for various monies, especially recently.
Say why not?
I just get concerned because how do you differentiate between who gets what? The key is objectivity, and you also have to remember, while these are great programs, you're still dealing with taxpayer dollars.
Absolutely.
So it's a balancing act.
Absolutely.
If you get too excited for it, bad things can happen.
Yeah. I agree that there's a negative to it, but at the same time, I sit on the Rotary board and we do scholarships for the kids at the high school, and there's 1,400 kids. You know how many applications we get? Sometimes 3 or 4. You know, so how much, I agree with you. If someone keeps coming back to the well, I think this board hopefully is objective enough to say, you know what, we already helped you, we need to help somebody else. But if it's a good application, that might be a different way of
If
doing
it's
it.
art sculptures and.
But I don't disagree in your job. Remember, we're going to have to do a physical
I'll go with
resolution.
blanket.
There's a physical resolution every time. So if we keep going back to the same person, I think we should be held accountable that we're not doing something wrong.
Here's something that, we're talking about facades, we're actually talking about the Black Horse Pike. You drive down the Black Horse Pike, the properties aren't being maintained, the empty ones, like the liquor store looks awful. The former beauty parlor, vape place looks awful. Can we, as Public Works, dedicate someone during the summer to clean up the pike, just work the pike.
So that's two, I think that's two separate questions.
Well, it might behoove us to spend some money to make the park, to make the Black Horse Pike look better. It's not that bad, you know, people say it's really bad, but there's two places that are real bad. The liquor store, and I know him, and I'm going to talk to him again. His son is a good friend of my son's. And the old vape place, beauty parlor, whatever that was, used to be the sports place, you know, coming into town from Philadelphia. You know, if we can get someone just to work the pipe during the summer months,
What
when
do
it
you mean by
grows.
working?
He's saying actually go out there and cut the grass.
Yeah.
And
Don't
not-
they do that? If they don't-
Well, we do that.
No, not their properties.
We don't go on anybody's property unless code enforcement does. So Shelley and I and Joyce, I give them a lot of credit, we did that neighborhood preservation program. One of the big things that the state pushes is municipal responsibility for code enforcement, going after people and saying, you need to maintain your property. I think council made a good decision putting code enforcement under the police department, because I think it's given it a much more legitimacy, correct? The department sent out letters to people. We're not finding people, we're just talking to people. You agree that talking, it works, not all the time, but it works a
You're
lot.
speaking of the pike, me and Buck, right before the 4th of July parade went, and I personally spoke to the business owners that need to be addressed, and weed whackers were right out.
Yeah. So the only thing I'll say about the two properties you just brought up, the one property, the old vape shop, there is some construction going on, so there's a possibility that can move on. And I did get a request from the property owner who, we're talking about the old liquor store, they're looking for our, and this is where the lawyer just walked away, a letter from us
Marijuana?
Yeah.
saying that we're okay with this. So we've got several
Well, but I
interested.
thought we opted out.
Okay, so we're gonna get, I guess I should get rid on the calendar. Do you have to go out?
Well, no, that's why I stepped up, because I knew that was coming, and I just needed to take care of it.
Okay.
Here we go.
So why don't we jump on to cannabis? Okay, facade enhancement, your point's well taken, how do we advertise it? But let's get our paperwork done, let's figure out how much, and our money can flow up and down. Because one thing about this American Relief Act is, some of it can go to COVID, and well, everything's COVID related.
It is.
But certain things are more COVID related than others. So missing revenues, some of the expenses we had, but then there's these programs that we can implement. The GA chickens. So cannabis. So here's, you brought it up, the building. So that gentleman, I believe this council should be prepared now that the state gave us the rules. So I believe we all thought that we wanted to allow in our community. We
But
agree
we
with that?
didn't know what the rules were.
So
We
made
know
it-
what the rules are.
Now the rules came out in the past 2 weeks.
They're good.
The rules are not bad for us. And we didn't- so waiting didn't hurt us, it didn't help us, it just kind of was good to be cautious. And
Can
so
we
now,
check real quick?
you can push
I
back.
think it helped us a lot.
Oh, my God.
I'm not positive about that.
I will tell you why, because the rules came back, and now we are in a position of better flexibility. It also emphasized that once you opt out, you can opt back in at any time. We now know what we can do. It was broad. The concern was, because you have to make the best decision with the information you have at the time, that we pass something, and then the rules come out, and we run the risk of completely running counter to us, and we have to start all over.
So the reason I don't agree with them 100% is because the rule also says, now we can opt back in, but for us to opt in, it takes 2 meetings. We have to introduce, and we have to have a public hearing, and we adopt. The state is taking applications on September
September 21st, right?
21st. It's a rolling application. There's 100 they're giving out for retail. Correct? Was it 100? Was that in there?
I did not, there was not a number.
specific number?
That I saw in there, no.
Okay, so
Can we
here's,
can we opt in today?
once again, we can start the
Let's
process,
do that.
but it takes the 30 days.
From today, though.
Yeah,
Not from next week.
No, we have to decide how you want to opt
I
in.
know, there's a little bit more, it's a little more complicated.
No,
So let me just read what a potential applicant who wants to do something in our town sent to me. And there's at least 2, 3, 4 other people that would want the same thing. Do you think the borough, or you, would be able to write a letter of support after the caucus meeting so I can start the application while the borough is finishing its ordinance?
that's fine.
Ordinance compliance can be implied in the letter.
So you have to have an idea of where you're going with it.
Okay, so the reason is, with, these guys want to get their applications in, but they need support from us before they can put their application in. We don't have an ordinance that says we allow it. So as long as you think we're not getting ahead of them,
No, it just says that we are in the process of formulating and passing an ordinance. We opted out initially because we were waiting on the rules. We have the rules now. They're flexible enough to allow us to do what we need to do. And as a result, based on what his specific plan is, so that's the thing that I don't know.
but we're not endorsing his plan quite yet, other than the fact that I think the council, and we're all saying that it's a letter of support of his application.
So
Pending the
here's
state's approval and our final.
Here's the problem with that. So you look at the regulations, which I sent you as among the reading
I printed it
material
out.
that I gave you this morning.
Yes.
One of the things that we can set is certain types of cannabis businesses.
Yeah.
How many cannabis businesses? Hours of operation.
I'd like to introduce that next Tuesday. That's what Mr. Ranieri said.
What's that going to look like?
Okay, let's take a little few, this will take a few minutes. So the first question is, there's 4 licenses or 5? Was it 4 or 5?
Excuse me?
How many licenses were there? Or not, different types of
We're just
businesses?
dealing with retail.
Well, okay, let's start with retail.
Yeah.
How many
We don't
retail,
want any growers, we don't want all that
how
stuff.
many retails do we think is a good number?
You may not.
Retail,
Yes,
3.
3.
So there's 6.
Okay, 6 different licenses. Mr. Ranieri proposes 3. What does everyone else think?
What are they?
You can go 1, 2, 3, 100.
What are the?
Just like liquor stores, how many liquor
How
stores,
many
how many liquor
retail-
licenses do we have in town?
We have 1. We have 1 liquor store.
That's governed by factors outside.
That's got a factors based on population and all that other stuff. We have 1 liquor store.
I have a question for you. A small town like this with 3 of them in it?
I say
Do you think that's a little over?
Yes.
That might be.
Okay, that's his opinion. You
No,
say
no,
less.
no, I'm just.
Okay, what do you think?
I went to the
I'm
Borough.
happy with 1.
Okay?
Yeah, I wonder, yeah, what?
I say 1.
2. You have to have competition.
Okay.
Well,
Here's the only reason why I say,
Yeah.
it's funny, it's funny, it's a good segue, because he brought in this objectivity. I think if we say we allow up to 2, it doesn't look like we're picking somebody.
2.
Does that make a little bit of sense?
It does.
It doesn't say the state's gonna give them to us.
Right.
Remember,
Not to us, to
to
them.
them. All we're saying is, we allow up to 2. We'll support
Is that retail?
letters of intention.
Is that retail?
That's retail.
But we have to talk other things.
We start with 1 at a time. So retail, 2 licenses. Where would they be located?
One on each side, Mike?
Main Street's fine, any of our,
You gotta be, once again, we're writing a law, and we're writing it in 10
Can't say
minutes.
anywhere.
So,
we are,
We don't
We
want
were
we don't want
council
a lot of
approved.
church.
no, so here's how
I
we're,
think it should be in any commercial zone.
okay, that's an idea.
oh, you away from schools and church?
Well, that's separate. Once again, you're conflating a lot of things.
How about redevelopment zones?
Thank you.
Industrial park.
So that's another one. So we could say in the redevelopment zones,
That's more of a growth.
Do you want people riding down looking at that on the street?
it's a good point. So, once again, the police department, I had a meeting with them, if everyone remembers, and they were very supportive of all this aspect. But their idea was that maybe along 9th Avenue wouldn't be bad. But at the same time, we all agreed that something on the pike might fill up a building and make it look nice also, and get people kind of in and out and not back in the corner. Once again, I'm not positive. There's no right answer here.
My only question is that Belmar, there's lines to get in. You're gonna have people.
A little different type of scenario. So picture what's going to happen. In 20 days, they're going to probably get 2,500 applications for about 100 licenses that they're going to
I
get.
don't know where you're getting that 100 number from.
I got it from somewhere. It's in my head. I don't remember.
I think the prospective licensee.
I know it was
to light-
37
To light a
growers.
fire under you to get this done. Now, while I support that now that we have the rules, I again have to wear my role as the wet
I
blanket.
understand. It could be the wet blanket. So we don't know how many applications are going to come in. We don't know how many licenses are going to be given.
Nick, having the ability to make the decisions, is it going to be, because basically, it would be first come, first served, unless we choose to go through the list or the applications and see what they're going to, what the plan is, what they want to purchase, improve, rent. Then we would have to
Well, can't be the
have,
highest bidder, so don't take
we
that.
have to have a period of time
We all
to
gotta
take
figure
the
that out.
applications in before we make a decision.
So let me explain the first step that we're doing here, because you're jumping ahead again. The first part is the zoning. Does everybody understand exactly how zoning works?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know if everybody.
Can I take a step back, step back?
Yeah.
Okay, so question 1 is if. Question 2 is what. Question 3 is where. Question 4 is how.
Okay.
I think that's how you have to break it down.
Okay, so we've all agreed that the if
Is
is,
the answer.
we all said yes, that we're gonna
Yes.
do
What is what type?
it. Okay, so what type, we started on retail.
Retail.
And retail, we said, we came up with a basic number of 2, this is not set in stone, but we said 2. The where, so under zoning law, guys, we're not allowed to do spot zoning.
Right.
We have to either put it in, an engineer jump in, we have to either say it's the commercial zone.
Yeah.
We have to say it's in the commercial zone, but it's gotta be 1,000 feet away from a school. We can say it's in only the redevelopment zone. We could say it's in the commercial zone and in the industrial zone. So we have to be that specific to that. It's not an application, John, now, your part though could be at the next level. So we can sit here and say, it's gotta be in a commercial zone, or we can say it's gotta be in the redevelopment zone, or in the industrial zone, or all three. Then,
I like all three.
okay.
Me too.
Then we could say, if you want to do what you just said about an application, we can make it a conditional use. So the next thing we could do is set conditions. And the conditions would be, we say it has to be 1,000 feet from the planning board. You have to show that you have means of taking care of the parking based on the size of your
Very
property.
strongly about that part.
You like the conditional use?
Strenuously.
And what that does is, it brings them in front of the planning board, not the council. They only come in front of the council if they come in as a redevelopment, which is also a possibility. Because if they take a building on Blackhurst Pike,
In the redevelopment
in the
zone.
redevelopment zone, and council appoints them as a redeveloper, then they can circumvent the planning board and only talk to us. But realize what council is doing is, these rules that we are promulgating are being enforced by the zoning officer and the planning board, not us. Unless you guys wanted to come to this. And do we have that? We have that ability to say, it's only in the redevelopment zone.
Yep.
But no, you can't do that. We can't cut out the planning board or zoning, right? We can't make them come in front of council, can we?
If it's part of the redevelopment zone,
What if it isn't? What if it's somebody who takes a building on the Blackhurst Pike and says, I want to open up?
then it depends on whether or not that's a conditional use.
The underlying zoning stays, and they go to the zoning officer.
Correct. Again, that's something I would recommend us do.
Conditional use.
Yes.
Okay, so conditional use.
And not just having it be redevelopment zone only.
So C1, now the other thing that's hard to do this is what we should have thought about when we did our master plan is, if you look at Gloucester Township zoning map, they got about 27 colors. 20, everything's in. Well, the reason they do that is because it's not quite spot zoning, but they put little areas to do certain things. Runnemede only has five zones, 6 zones, which makes it hard. Commercial zone is the commercial zone, unless we specify, and I think we can, that it can only be on the Blackhurst Pike, or it has to be so far from a school or a church.
You just have to
Well, I
have.
think that's what
You
we
just-
want.
Yeah, so remember, you gotta go into flexibility balanced with spot zoning as you talked about there. As long as it is consistent with your overall master plan and legitimate governmental aims, you can do it. But you can't pigeonhole it too much.
Yeah. So I actually like the idea that it is in the C1 zone, which is our commercial. It is in the industrial zone, and it is in the redevelopment zone, unless anybody feels
I
that.
like all three.
Now, this is just the retail. We haven't even talked about the other 5 licenses.
There's not gonna be any more. We're just
Well,
gonna
you
do
stop.
retail. We're just
Stop.
gonna do retail.
Stop. So, conditional use, we'll come up with conditions. Does anybody have any concerns about hours of operation? That's the when again.
8 to 8, of course.
So the Voorhees one is, that I send you 10 to 10, 7 days a week. That's what they do. That's
10 to 10.
10 to 10, 8 to 8.
And why are we
8's a
doing,
little early.
and why are we doing this?
I don't think we have to tell them the time.
We're doing this.
Yes,
You know,
we
that's
do.
a great question. Ms.
Yeah,
Passio
yeah.
said why.
You should control hours.
So guess what the lawyer did before the meeting? The lawyer brought back the votes from the Borough of Runnemede. The voters in this borough voted 77.3% to 22.7% to allow this. So I believe as a representative democracy, that 3/4 of the people, over 3/4 of the people,
Want it. They
said
want
they want it. Now, it's our job to.
Do you think that they know why they want it?
Well, once again.
Well, they want to be able to go.
We have to decide.
Like we go to the liquor, they want to go to the liquor store and get their liquor, and they want to go to the pot store and get their pot. They want the convenience.
Or
Why not
the
give
people
it?
like
I
you
don't have a
voted for
problem
it.
with, I don't
That's
have a
not my-
problem with having it.
Exactly, it's there,
Convenience.
it's exactly right.
It's
Because the
convenient.
attitudes have changed.
So I give it to them, give it to them. They want it, give it to them.
So let's think
I don't
about
have
the
a problem
hours.
with that.
Let's think about the hours again. I'm just gonna write hours down.
Well, what is,
And
I'm gonna
days of the
pass
week.
by your house,
Billy,
Eleanor, and I'm gonna see what you're gonna do
10
with
to
your
10, you
front, on
think
your
10
back
to
porch.
10 is good?
Eleanor's gonna be out there smoking. I can't say that.
10's not real late. It's not like it's up till 11 or 12.
You know, I think 10 o'clock is much too late. We have curfew around here too.
They're not children to go to these places.
Yeah, but you know what?
Guys, it's a store.
Kids are not allowed to go. What time's the liquor store usually open?
Kids will be left in the cold.
9 to 9's good. Compromise, right?
I would do consistent with what you do liquor
Liquor stores
stores.
at 9, right?
Well, does anybody oppose, I mean, Voorhees, I'm not saying we have to be Voorhees, but you don't think that Voorhees, they put a lot of time into this and thought about this?
Listen,
Yes, we did.
8 to 8, 9 to 9, 10 to 10, it's always good to go in the middle. If it doesn't work out, we can always change
Here's your
it.
chief of police. What do you think?
I like 9 to 9.
You're gonna be working
It's
it.
good to compromise.
Yeah.
Okay,
I know you.
I'm ready.
You have
What-
been
I'll be
working
there.
it.
I'll be
So we
at the
almost have the
concert.
retail straightened out, right? We're gonna move on
What,
to good.
what are the other
No,
towns
there's
doing?
no other.
10 to 10.
They're only doing retail.
That's not true.
This is not a dictatorship. I'm sorry.
I speak for the people.
Okay.
I speak for the
Thank you.
people.
I think Ms.
We don't
Pitts
want
represents a lot
You
of,
sound like the mass people that come to my school board meetings.
Yes.
They speak for the people.
all right, so the last thing, which will leave a little bit more up to more specific engineering kind of things, is there should be a ratio of the size of the property to the parking, those kind of aspects. Does anybody remember when we allowed for drive-throughs at the Dunkin' Donuts? One of the biggest concerns was that the cars would back out onto the Evesham Road. Does anybody realize that's really never happened, has it? We were very, it's happened. We've been very,
Very, very rare.
very rare. What's that?
I've never seen it, but you know which one does back up? The one in Glendora.
Yes. Because that was not as good a planning, and I think we were very lucky that
That
this,
Starbucks in Jeffrey is like.
and that's terrible. It's terrible. So I think we have to be conscientious on the size of the property and the parking. And not that it's a drive-through, but the property has to be big enough to handle some of the,
Can I give some
answer
other-
me, Gordy.
Sure, so a couple other things that I think we should have. Obviously, licensure with the state, that's a given,
That's a given.
right? On-site consumption, I believe that should be.
That's what you know.
Yeah.
Does everybody
Oh, you
agree?
mean that the lounge that he wants will be,
We'll say no.
no lounges?
No lounge.
I agree with that.
Because you
Chief
become-
and I have talked about this since you came.
And you need more parking.
Our concern isn't necessarily the use, it's that the driving under the influence. That's the way bigger concern from a health and safety.
So no on-site consumption.
Outside storage,
No outside.
no outside storage.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, we'll be up.
The hours, okay. This one I feel very strongly about, but I apologize in advance, Chief, giving you more work. Each cannabis establishment shall provide to the police department a detailed security plan.
That's fine. The state requires it already.
They
I
should.
know,
They have it over in Belmar.
Yep.
But the state requires it.
I understand that, but we have to make sure that that's in there. Yeah, those are the ones
What
that.
about parking and size of the facilities?
I was talking more about usage.
Okay.
But yeah, parking size is very important.
Say like a minimum, maximum,
Sure. So.
like restaurants are based on how many seats.
One spot, if you're doing retailer, one spot for every 300 square feet.
Is that what they say?
That's in the sample ordinance, is that we.
Okay, so that's like a retail type of
Correct,
concept.
because some do, I'll give you the Voorhees one, not to harp on them, but that's the one I was.
Does that include
involved in.
employees?
They allowed all 6 types of usage.
Well, let's go
in their
start
shop.
on one before I get.
But with the retailer, it's one per every 300 square feet of gross floor area.
Nothing about employees?
Yeah. Just about the square footage.
That's not much.
No.
That's not much.
It's, again, it's just a.
Is that normal retail? Is that normal retail?
Yeah.
We'll look at our retail.
Yeah,
Isn't this an
whatever,
opportunity
we already did, that's fine.
for someone to want to be in this business in our town, to have to invest some money to change the face of our, of the mic, to change, to knock down a building, to do what we want to do, to move it back, this, that, and the other, what we're trying to get.
I think the problem with that, what I'm hearing from these individuals who are looking to start this business is, they almost think of this as a horse race. That all these people are going to jump into this and try to get it up and going and figure out all the things that happen
We
when you do
shouldn't
business.
rush, we should look at the applications.
Yeah, but that's,
So the state is the licensor, not the borough.
right.
All we are doing is the underlying zoning. And the underlying zoning is no different than a retail store or a gas station or a restaurant. So what we do is, we don't tell how many pizza places in the town. This is slightly different because it is a licensed establishment, where the state does not issue licenses for pizza places,
Wow.
right? So liquor stores are very specific in state law and with us. So, but the only thing I'll say is, I would love to have seen somebody come in, tear a building down and build it. But it's an infant, it's in its infancy. No one knows what's gonna happen.
Two things, if I'm in there. Number one, I do not want to get involved in the business of us, especially as a council, and even putting this on our planning board either, of choosing one over another. You are begging for litigation in that respect, right?
Yes.
Especially with something else we've got going on,
Yes.
yeah. And so that's a key factor, number one.
So we can't turn anybody down if everything's, all the ducks are.
That's why it's conditioned. If they
Right.
meet the conditions, then you cannot deny them, correct?
Rather, right, so that's number one. But number two is, as part of their application for licensure for the state, this is what you were talking about earlier, and I think this is what they're getting on you about, to kind of turn the heat up on you a little bit, is we have to say, or they're looking for us to say that we support this type of business and the information on their application in our town. That's what the CRC, the Cannabis Regulatory.
I don't think we have a problem with that. I think
I
that's.
understand that, but we're going into considering the applications. We're not considering applications. We are supporting or not supporting based on our ordinance, our standards, and what works for,
And the conditional use.
and
Yes.
what works for Runnemede. Remember, we should plan this for what works best for this town, not shoehorn what somebody else wants to do and let them dictate how we do it.
You're talking about the applicants.
Exactly. The other thing, Mary, is the one thing that, when the rules came out, I think it was on the 19th, it was about a week and a half ago, they're still not giving a time frame because of the wild horse chase that you were referencing in your comments, because, you know, there's a lot of entrepreneurial business people who are getting ready and they want to get on as soon as possible. So the state, I think that's where you got some of that information on the limits and when, you know, the September 21st is when they can start submitting the applications. But when this is going to happen is still yet to be determined.
I thought the law says that they have within 6 months,
To set the-
180
To
days,
set the regulations.
and 180 days to allow, what was it, it was 100. Once again, I don't disagree, there's all these lines that they drew, and we're caught.
Sure. So we need to, exactly right. Exactly right. We have to look at this as an exercise in zoning, not so much, I like Peter over Paul.
Yes.
Yeah,
So that's what we have to be completely objective and completely out of this process.
right.
So the only thing I will say that, because we want to finish one last thing with this is, did Voorhees take the 2% income?
Good question.
I apologize.
Next question.
What? See that? We think the same.
The 2% transfer tax, I don't remember seeing.
I think we should take the 2% transfer. I think the police department would support the 2%
Chief, you
transfer.
gotta go in there.
It's not in
and
there,
tell
but the
her.
2% transfer tax is fine.
Really? Voorhees did not put it in?
It does not appear that way. I know others that have.
No, we definitely want to do that.
Wow. I bet that's very interesting.
Mayor, what is, for your retail in town now, your parking standard? So I think we should adopt.
I think I have to look it up.
If you can let me know, just text me.
Yeah, it's in our land use under C1, I don't know off the top of my head. You know, The only reason I think 300 seems low is I think it's more like a 7-Eleven type of place. I think it's more like a 7-Eleven. And if you look at the 7-Eleven down the street from my business, right, they probably have 20 spots, and that building can't be more than 2,000 square feet. So that's basically one for every 150 square feet. So, you know, that's the other fear that we have, is that these places are going to get inundated because there's not a lot of them.
Exactly.
But, you know, remember, I'm in the sign business, guys. Remember the country western phase that we went through back in the 90s when everybody opened a country western dance thing? They went up and then they all collapsed. So, you know, businesses, you know, do you remember
I
all
went to
the...
them, they were a lot of fun.
Yeah, they didn't last very long, did
It's
they?
not gonna happen tomorrow.
All I'm saying is, do you remember, guys, I'm in the sign business. Do you remember all the pharmacies, building all the pharmacies, and then they all pulled back? You know, so I believe there's going to be this kind of expansion and contraction that happens where the strong survive and the better business plan survives. What's that?
Sure, no problem. I agree with that entirely.
All right, so we all agreed we're gonna go with retail. And
Yes.
we're gonna do the letter of
No, we
support.
haven't all agreed with that yet. How are you trying to dictate
Nick,
this?
I believe that we have reached
So
a
retail is gonna
consensus.
be allowed in commercial, industrial, and redevelopment.
At this point, we're gonna draft something like that. The second license, Ms. Kelly, is what's the second? So I don't know.
There are cultivators.
Okay, let's go to cultivators.
What did you just say? All three?
Yes, so we
I'll write it down.
Cultivators, manufacturers, wholesalers, distributors, retailers, and delivery.
Delivery.
So here's my opinion about this. Let me just say my opinion about
This
this.
is Mrs. Kelly's nameplate.
Let me give you a little background on this that I know, limited what I know. These other 4 aspects, including the retail, I believe our industrial park is potential for any of these.
I agree.
Okay, and let me just make this clear. From what I understand of this type of product, it's not going to be grown in fields.
No.
It's not going to be grown necessarily in greenhouses. It's going to be grown in warehouses, under controlled environments, under secure environments, whatever. It's at least on the up and up side. On the up and up side, it's going to be done that. Runnemede has a great location, and it's a potential. It is a potential that someone takes some warehouse space.
Do you understand the environmental impact?
It's no
The
different.
environmental impact is amazingly huge.
You talking about water consumption? What are you talking
Water, electric.
about? We got a lot of water. We got a flood
Oh,
coming tomorrow.
Are we stuck for water around here?
But you're producing a wonderful product.
I don't know if it's wonderful.
no,
To some people it is.
I will not approve it. I will not approve it.
You are in every right to vote no. So,
I will.
okay, so my thoughts about the other 5 are, I would limit it only to the industrial.
Manufacturing would be edibles,
Okay,
right?
so you agree with that?
I was gonna play devil advocate, you're gonna open a restaurant or a retail, and you're next to this place, you're not gonna want that.
It would be.
If you're a restaurant, I would give it to you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Deluxe might be.
Now, I read
Deluxe. You'll be getting like pinstripe
Yeah.
uniforms in the button.
Maybe the restaurant.
Let me just make it clear.
Sponsorship, you'll be like playing in a
The delivery-
Seat Stadium.
The delivery business is simply,
Right, delivery. We do delivery.
they're picking up and moving it around. So there may not even be that product necessarily in our community, but it's a delivery business. Right now,
You mean any?
delivery is big
truck?
in Pennsylvania. They're delivering all over the place.
Is it gonna
Distribution
have-
is no different than a
Signs
warehouse.
on the sides
It's no different than making toilet paper coming
Traveling.
through. It's a distribution.
Has anybody approached you for any of these others?
No,
Only retail?
only retail.
I think we're a small community. We probably won't be hit for that. We may.
You never know.
So keep it the industrial park.
Well, I think what it also does, Ellen, is it says that we are open-minded, even though I don't believe anybody will ask for this. I think there's more money in the industrial park for other things than this, because I believe that these guys who are gonna do this type of cultivation probably are gonna go much further out where the land is cheaper and the
Oh,
warehouse
yeah.
is
No,
cheaper.
they're gonna go down next to Logan Township, next to Amazon, and Amazon will deliver.
It's possible. But then Amazon would have their license to deliver.
So numbers.
And the law is actually leaning towards smaller businesses than the Amazons,
So we just went
the
from
big pharma.
That'd be nice.
two retails to the other ones. How many were you the other ones?
I think you only allow a maximum of 1 of each.
Or you could do a total of
2.
Yes.
You
Out
see
of
we
the
have
other,
a big-
out of the other four?
Yeah. Now, once again, I believe the law is not looking for vertical
No.
operation. So you're not going to have one business, big farm is not going to come in, grow the product, warehouse the product, distribute the product, and have retail stores. The law is actually designed to break them all up. Is that correct?
Exactly right. So there's not like
There
a,
are a lot of companies out there that are franchises now, marijuana franchises.
Once again, the law is against that.
Right.
The law is actually trying to cultivate new businesses.
Yeah.
So I'll be very clear. This is
mom and pop weed shop.
So the mom and pop weed shops, typically, they're looking for, the guys that I'm talking to, all men, who are literally putting their wives in charge.
Like
Why?
yeah.
Because, tell counsel, because they're considered
Minority.
minority,
Women.
women. So they're all doing this. They're breaking off from their other
They've been
businesses.
doing that for years. Look at Bernie.
Once again, but let's be clear why what's going on. Amazon can't put their wife on this. These are business owners for putting their wives in charge of things and stuff like that. So how about we just group all the other fives? I actually like that idea of we allow any of these, but a maximum of only 2 in our industrial park only. Now let's be clear, industrial park. I don't think we want to say Irish Hill Road. So I think we need to call it our special, we do have another zone, the SED zone. The SED zone would be the zone where this would be allowed.
Where's the SC?
It's the, you gotta get the map. It's basically the industrial park.
I think you're just opening up a big can of
Vic,
worms.
just to be clear, is it 2 in the industrial and 2 retail?
Maximum 2, maximum 2.
Okay.
Here's my
You're
personal,
opening up a can
here's my
of
personal
worms.
opinion. You wanna know what my personal opinion is? We're gonna get 0.
Then why even?
Growers, you mean?
Why even
Because
go?
there's
gotta be a
people
law.
who are interested, and you never know the future.
Because of them 77% voters.
77%.
We're giving them the retail, we're giving them what they want. They don't care about who's gonna grow it.
Then here's
The
the
question wasn't retail though.
The question wasn't retail. The legislature had an opportunity to pass a law, they failed. They gave it to the voters, and they boiled it down to one issue. Are you going to allow it or not allow it? The legislature could have done this all on their own, and they couldn't get enough votes.
Remember, if a business is here, they have 12 employees, different shifts, that's people that are gonna be eating here, they're gonna be buying gas here, they're gonna be.
I have no problem
Commerce.
with retail. I think you're opening a can of worms by going with anybody else.
Okay, this is a straw
That's
poll.
that's just my,
This is the-
Patty, your second. Eleanor says no. What do you think, Patty?
I really have to think about that.
Okay, you're not ready? John, what do you think about the other ones?
I really have.
Bob, what do you think about the other ones? In the industrial zone?
In the industrial zone, I think, yeah, I'd be for it there, but nowhere else.
Rich?
I agree, this is industrial.
Yeah, whatever grows business in town.
Okay, it's, once again, it's only the possibility. Now, if we decide we want to allow this in here, do we make it a conditional use? Mr. Attorney, conditional use?
Oh, no question.
So once again, it's a conditional use.
Everything's, everything.
So it forces everybody to come in front of the
Say
state.
it's gotta fit.
And what that does is, Eleanor, is a conditional use means they have to appear, they have to advertise, and that audience, the people can come here and voice their opinions about it. Now, the board cannot deny them if they meet all the conditions. But if they require a variance, the board then can deny it. So we have to set the limits in such a way.
I think
So
you're
we have
opening
100
up a can of worms. I don't
understand.
see us doing, this is just not a good thing.
So we have
It's just
100
not.
applicants.
No.
Say we have 100 applicants.
That would be a miracle.
Okay, well, say we do.
Say we have 2.
Say we have 100.
Okay.
And say they all meet the conditions. So how do you get to pick out?
Who goes first?
You get the first person?
It's a rolling application.
State licensure, yeah.
It's a rolling application. Think about it. So now the liquor license, people bid on them, and right, when a town puts a liquor license out, people bid on them. It's the same thing. You know, it's a rolling application. I hate to say it. Who's there first gets it. That's one of the things I don't like about
Who's
this
there
process.
first and have the ducks in a row?
Yes.
That's
No.
what I like about this process.
You do like it.
I do.
Because it doesn't matter who.
Exactly.
It's whoever-
Objectivity is what I preach the whole.
Mhm.
So 100 applicants come. We give them all a letter of support saying, council, through the voice of the people, says, we're okay with this if you meet our conditions. But now you've got to go back to the state. The state has to license you. Then you come back to the borough. You come in front of our planning board. You prove to the planning board and the people in the audience that you meet the standards, then you have to actually do it. You know, I go to a lot of meetings where people get approvals and they never do anything. Does everybody remember the Sanders property? He got approval to build houses, he didn't do it. He had approval to build townhouses, he didn't build it. So just because someone has approval doesn't mean they can do it.
Did you get that email?
The La Quinta was supposed to be senior housing, they didn't do it. They wanted to do memory care, they got approval, they didn't do it. So let's be really
We
realistic.
had somebody wanted to open up a spirit shop or just a distillery. They came.
Didn't do it, yeah, got approved, didn't do it.
Which would be nice to have, yeah. Right?
I'm not against any commerce. I will say this though, be realistic about commerce. You know, even a place like Wawa, it's a strong business. Chief, what is the business, the one business in town that gives us the most aggravation?
Wow.
Well, because.
Why?
Quality of life issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great business, and I think everybody likes it. But you know what? Whenever you get a lot of people, you have issues. So, you know, that's just being.
Wawa's gonna be real close.
Development doesn't always mean positive. Traffic. Look at the traffic around the Kemper Mall. So, all right, how about we do this? We'll finish this draft. It'll be sent out to everybody. I would like us to at least do first reading at the next meeting.
Okay.
We can tweak it. It's first reading, and then we have public hearing. Public is about to come here. Public hearing, and then we vote on it. And once again, we can always,
Let's ask Val. Val, what do you think about
we have a public portion at the end, Val, so if you want to say something in the public portion.
Yeah, we'd like to hear what you have to say, Val. 'cause
So,
You've been around.
what else? What else?
She knows what's going on. She knows
I
what's
think we
going
covered it.
on.
That was a very in-depth and
Okay. We went over the
We
facade,
pretty much wrote the ordinance, it's ready to
we
go.
went over the facade, we went over the canopus.
It's close.
yeah, it would apply to the same.
What are change orders, Joyce?
That came from Mark.
Mark, make sure
Mind
you
if I step out now?
Yeah, step out, please. You know what? Why don't we let the engineer report, or you want to report first and then the engineer?
Yeah, I'll
Only
just-
because we got a lot of engineering stuff.
I'll just go. We had a pre-construction meeting this morning at 10 o'clock
And for what?
for North and South Island and Second Avenue. And we'll be starting construction on South Island next Tuesday.
Wow.
Wow.
Did everybody hear that?
Really great.
Did everyone hear that?
which is South, which one is South Island?
South is between Eastham and Clemens.
Just let you know, South Highland will get started on Tuesday.
The second phase of that.
Wow.
Wow, that's great.
That's fast.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay, you talked about the.
Now, talk about South Highland once again, though. You're going to go walk it and
We're
make
gonna
sure.
walk, yeah.
I trust Bob. I mean, Bob and I walked it the one day. I think anybody else on the committee or anybody has any input, we put in for 50% of the sidewalks. I think it was pretty obvious, the sidewalks that are in bad shape, the borough's going to pay to replace them. But it is somewhat arbitrary because there is a little bit of, how do you determine how bad a sidewalk is?
Yeah, I think it's good we're walking it again because one of the places they put a new house up and the apron doesn't line up.
Oh, they move the, well, then we'll fix it.
Yeah, so it's going to be fine for
Say
them.
we
They're
do
going to
that.
be happy about
Yeah.
that, yes.
Unless they want to put it in before and get their CO. Right? We should tell them if we can.
They're only on foundation right now.
They're a little bit, oh, so they're way ahead. Okay, I didn't put it on highway.
And it's, the only other thing is I talked to this Mr. for New Jersey Transit to find out, about the bus enclosures. And he said he would contact me when they would go out and check all 3 sites.
Nice.
So,
Well, that'd be nice if we had that.
It would be. I saw someone actually sitting on the sidewalk waiting for a bus
I
the other
know,
day.
I know.
Someone was lying down on the sidewalk in front of
Oh,
Cooper
wow.
the other day with his feet in the road.
Oh,
It's all coming together.
and all the rest is progress.
Okay, before, what did I want to ask Bob? All right, it'll come to me. On tonight's Marandino's bond, or that wasn't on your agenda. We're gonna do Marandino's for his previous job of releasing the bond. Is that what I saw? So can we put that on the agenda for next,
It was just,
Change orders, final payment, and accepted his.
there's 2 change orders, correct?
Correct.
oh, that's the change orders. Okay, let's segue right into the change orders.
And what's the bond?
It's the 2-year maintenance bond for both of those projects to accept.
The ones we did last year.
So to give back the
That's
20.
these. I didn't read it.
Was that Rowan, right?
29.
Yeah, the 2 jobs that were done, was 2019, 2020. I sent letters on August 26th, recommending acceptance of the final change order, making final payment, and accepting their 2-year maintenance bond. Dan reviewed the bonds, he put a letter together saying everything was okay, so we should have a resolution on.
There's 3 letters I saw.
Well, one's now to accept the performance bond for the job we just had the pre-con meeting for,
So 3 separate things. Okay.
and then the 2 change orders.
Oh, Second Avenue. So Second Avenue will start after Highland's done. The only thing I want everybody to be aware of, at Second Avenue, there was a lot of missing sidewalks. So now the sidewalk will go from Clemens Bridge Road all the way to the school.
Oh, nice.
So that should hopefully really improve that as a safety, because there's kids do walk that way, correct? So they'll get them out of the street.
Yeah.
Did you
Remember that?
still want to meet with my neighbor to make sure?
I would love to meet with him if you could get a hold of him, just so I think,
I've called
as the
him.
property owner, we should let him know what we're
He
doing.
hasn't returned my call, but I'll knock on
Not
his
next
door.
door, Martina's friends with him. Because that property right there, we're putting a sidewalk in, which we have the right to do, but it is nice to talk to somebody, and they bother to try to get a hold of them.
Sonny's, on the corner there?
Yeah.
Sonny Garofalo.
Oh,
Wide area.
Sonny,
It's a
yeah.
wide area, and we don't want to know where he wants to put the apron and this and that.
I think the plan is just a continuous apron, because it would hurt him if we took away his parking. Isn't that what the drawing looks like?
Oh, continuous, okay.
It's right next to the curb, and it's going to be at 2%, so it's ADA accessible.
Okay. All right. Do you want to just do your report? Is there anything else?
Sure.
Yeah, go do your report. Let's get the engineer now. We lost our CFO. I apologize. She had to leave, and I should have let her talk. I missed it.
I did submit my report in writing, covered a lot of things, so I'll just skip over what hasn't been talked about yet. Under general engineering, the Beaver Branch Park lighting is done. We submitted an recommendation for payment for that on August.
That is really bright. I was over there at nighttime. It lights up that whole section.
I hadn't been there yet.
Oh,
Great. It's nice.
it's really bright.
Great.
I mean, that's a lot of light there.
You did get the 2021 recreation enhancement grant, we talked about that, so you have the $25,000. Like Shelley was saying, whatever you spend has to be in that grant application we put together. I believe we were supposed to be using recycled materials, which got us extra points for that. So if you're buying park benches, it has to be made of recycled material.
That's possible.
You already talked about the second reading for your hallway stop signs out on Chisler. Just talked about the change order. Steve Bach met with the new owners with Intel last week to talk about the redevelopment process, and they're in the process of coming up with some deep design concepts.
Does everybody hear that? You want to repeat that again? I'll repeat it. So Mr. Bach, and I was there too, but Mr. Bach did most of the talking. We have the new owner of the La Quinta is going to be coming in front of the planning board or this council, more than likely this council, for us to determine, appoint them as a redeveloper. This will be our first opportunity as a redeveloper.
Oh, I'm glad that we redeveloped that.
Yes.
Put that in that section.
So what it
We
does-
just did that.
We did.
We just did that.
So what they're going to do is they're going to come in with an application that more than likely converts the hotel to apartments, market rate apartments. They're going to take 192 units and probably drop them down to about 120 units, mostly single units. Now, it's not necessarily senior housing, but they're mostly one bedrooms. I think the majority is one bedrooms. And there are some 2 bedrooms, but there are some
It's
efficiencies.
not senior housing?
It's not, but when you hear a lot of 1 bedrooms, when you say 1 bedrooms, it's right, it's different, right? And we can make certain arrangements with this application. They want to maximize, I think, their revenue. I think 1 bedrooms, I think.
So they're going to take advantage of a tax abatement program?
So that's where Mr. Bach really did a very nice job of explaining it, and the benefits for the municipality are not only getting this building back on the tax rolls, but get them on the tax rolls with a larger percentage coming to the borough
Yeah.
for a period of time,
Great.
fix the building up.
Oh.
I believe it's low impact, right? The hotel has a lot more impact on the police department and the fire department than, as long as it's a well-quality run apartment.
Oh, yeah.
So the difference is when we have the apartments being run
Now,
well.
who's going to manage?
We don't have any
What, do
problems
they-
in town.
Is the owner going to manage, or is he going to?
So the gentleman was very honest that this company is basically the mortgage company. They are financing it and they're putting it all together with their intent of rolling it over to companies that are managers. They're very honest to say they're not managers. So
So we don't know who the
As
manager
the chief just said, a right manager makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the apartments are ran by women in town pretty much. They're awesome.
Yeah.
They.
And you know we've had problems in the past.
They
It's how
do
you
a
run.
fantastic job, and I have a great rapport with them. They call me, they just handle their business.
Yeah, so that Keith did, like I said, Steve did a good job, very good job of explaining the process.
Good.
And once again, everything would come to council. It would be public and also private meetings with them to come up with a plan that hopefully benefits the town.
That's great.
Sorry.
No problem. The other thing was the Davis Road Sewer Extension, we talked about that with your resolution tonight for the TWA application. And the last thing I had was the other change order that we talked about, so other than that, progress.
Thank you. Did Mr. Bernstein say anything, or?
No, he's here, I'm waiting for another minute, and Sergeant Burns and I are attending the National Overdose Awareness Vigil in Timber Creek Park.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that online.
Mr. Vesper,
Oh, nice.
I'm there with him, so
And the
all the
council,
chiefs
very
and
good.
a lot of, yeah, we went last year, it was great.
Did you want to report anything? If you-
Just, I thank you for your guys' participation, for showing up, Patty, for your participation, making the battleship. I want to thank Sergeant Burns, who does a fantastic job with that.
Police Junior Academy. we're
Police
talking about.
Junior Academy, I'm sorry, and
Wonderful.
he's our community guy, he did a fantastic job with it, and the Captain Murray's talking about picking up finishing out our adult police academy in the fall, there's only a little bit left, and other than that, everything else is great. There's a big monumental thing going on in the police department tomorrow. After I get home from work, I complete my 25th year full-time here.
Oh,
Have a nice night, everyone. And then Sergeant Burns put me on the clock.
All right, good.
Chief,
Have a nice
before
night.
you leave, I just wanted to, Mayor, if I can. October 2nd is National Electric Vehicle Awareness Week. And we've been asked to, we had it here earlier, we had our
Yeah.
EV show. Nobody was there because it was the middle of summer, but it was a good program. Sustainable New Jersey, Tri-County Sustainable New Jersey has asked us to participate October 2nd, and they're going to have it at the Deptford Mall.
Is your point you want the police?
I would love to have the police vehicle there. Is it a possibility, Chuck,
Yes,
that we can make
100%.
that October
I'll be
2nd?
in attendance with Sergeant.
10 to 2, October 2nd.
And where's it gonna be, John?
It's going to be at the Deptford Mall.
Deptford Block?
Maybe I'll bring two of them over and have the officers
That'd be
explain
great.
to everybody.
That's
give them-
great.
These guys flat out love it.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Can I hear Mr. Long before I leave?
Sure.
All on him real quick?
Sure.
You guys-
Mr. Long.
Oh, no, it's, no, I'm good. I'll explain to you.
Well, before you leave though, since you brought it up, we did talk about that you guys are planning on buying 2 police vehicles.
Yes.
This is skipping years now.
Yep.
And I think they were all very happy with the EVs, correct?
Yeah.
So hopefully we're gonna do a better job this year to get the information out and the bond done earlier, so we can place them in
Yes.
this order, because you see how long it took?
Yeah.
We wanna get as early as possible with your department
Yes,
to get
as the
these
chief
vehicles.
of police, I will say, in the beginning, these guys flat out love these vehicles. I'll buy them the rest of the time I'm here. And then, like I said, we're pushing, this 2 weeks will be the last white vehicle that'll be sold. And it's the best fleet we've ever had, and I'm gonna continue. The more hybrids we get, the less gas we spend, the more we save. And we love them.
Less time,
Yep,
all that stuff.
yep. So I appreciate everything. Have a great night.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
No problem.
Hey, speaking about the vehicles, can we make, is there an ordinance or do we have anything to keep the police vehicles all the same color all the time?
It's typically the discretion of the police chief to do that.
Doesn't that?
We do hold the purse strings, but I
The,
think we've always deferred to them.
the police chief leaves though, then a new one comes in. And then, oh, I like white again.
Yeah, that's what happens.
And now you got mixed vehicles all the time.
But that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
It's everyone brings their management style, and council can say that this is the rule, and other towns do that.
And that works, it works both ways too, because council sometimes will turn over quicker than chiefs do.
That's another option. They don't buy cars. There was a time here that Borough went
They
through.
can buy
They
anything.
didn't buy cars for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
So, it's nice to have a long-term plan, but that continuity is always a
It's
difficult.
just a thought, like Gloucester Township, I think, has a number of different colors now.
They do, and because things change. They went through 3 chiefs.
No, it's not there.
Okay, we'll go around the room at this point. Ms. Patsy, you want to start?
Sure. Okay, so let's remember that we have our weekend yard sale, which is September 25th and September 26th. There is no registration and there is no fee. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Today I got a phone call from Commander Sampolsky in regards to a spaghetti dinner that the VFW holds annually, and it will be on October 10th. That will be for the seniors. It's free at the VFW. I believe he said 2 to 5. So you can call Lee, Val, you can call Lee and get the correct time if you want to pass that on. Okay, so also September 18th, we're going to have a dedication of Beaver Branch Park. We will be renaming it the David L. Vanella Memorial Park, 11 a.m. on Saturday, September 18th.
Can I stop you there?
Sure you can.
We need to put a resolution on, don't we?
I think we do, don't we?
We don't have, we need a resolution to rename this park. Or should it be an ordinance?
Ordinance, okay.
Resolutions for the year, ordinances for
Aren't we going to do?
So we're going to do first reading at the
Next week?
September meeting.
September 7th.
September 7th meeting.
Okay.
So first reading, rededicating it.
Is the
We can still do-
sign being
We
made?
still do it. Signs being made.
Yeah.
Public Works back there, there's a whole plan.
You're changing the whole name of the complex?
Yes.
Or just a section?
The whole land and the whole plan.
Is that an issue with Green Acres?
That's-
People will still call it Green Acres.
Why does it matter?
Because Green Acres, sometimes, we've talked about this before, you get very ornery about name stuff, and you can say, we're pulling the funding if you don't name it after us.
Well, it's Beaver Branch Park, so. Yeah, it's
Or
named
for if, yeah.
It's a Green Acre
Green
site.
Acres approved fundings at Beaver Branch Park. I don't know if there's a problem with changing the name.
I think it's like the bank that gives you money for the
Naming rights
naming rights.
for a stadium.
Green Acres is just a naming, we've already decided the sign's being moved to a different location. The Green Acres sign
We
will
don't
still
want to
be
lose any
there.
money. There's no
The whole park will
jeopardy.
have a new name.
We just
Can
refer
you
to
look into that?
You watch a lot of football, run until they tackle.
I think in any time we refer to that park, if we're going for grants or anything like that, we always say the Dave Vanilla Green Acres. Put the same word, right?
No.
It'll be now the Dave Vanilla Memorial Park.
Maybe we should talk about it.
What is that?
We have to do an ordinance to do this.
No, I know that.
You have any issues with it?
No.
I have no issues with it. I understand what you're saying, but once again,
You can do like a doing business as kind of.
we're gonna be, if it came down to it, let's be really honest. If it came down to it, we could pay Green Acres off and be done with it. We owe the money.
Can you state that a little differently? So I'm not testifying at a arraignment for you one day?
We have some funding that's still owed to Green Acres.
Thank you.
We could pay that funding
As a borough.
as a borough to eliminate the liability that the Green Acres holds on the.
That was the concern, okay, now I understand.
Well, you have a street that's named, Center Avenue, and they put on the top of it Veterans Way.
It's completely the governing body's decision to do that.
Isn't this the same thing?
I think what Mr. Basor is talking about is that the funding for the park was tied into this particular process. But I think how I understand it, when I met with the DEP director and them, they were extremely, once again, I was very happy I met with the head of Green Acres and the head of DEP. They were open to any investment that the governing body wants to do, any improvement that the governing body wants to do, as long as we do follow the rules. So.
I do know there are other Green Acre sites, and they're not named Green Acre Park.
Because they're not named Green
Yeah.
Acres. This is a misnomer.
But we are going to keep
No,
that
but
sign that
in other
says
towns,
Green
there are
Acres.
other-
We're putting it
Yes,
someplace
but
else.
what he's saying is Beaver Branch Park sign is being removed.
Yes.
And his point is the
We
loan
need-
that was originally taken out has that name on it. And I don't believe that this is in any way diminishing our obligation to pay the loan.
Same thing. No, not anybody.
No, we wouldn't do that.
I don't think they'll come
Now
out.
I understand.
But there are no such thing as a Green Acres Park. They are just a funding source.
Green Acre site.
And people got confused because that's where the sign is. The sign guy who preceded
Exactly
me
what it is.
didn't know where to put the sign.
Look,
I'm serious.
Look, it will always be Green Acres.
Will not, see, I'm I'm telling you, it'll change.
He's just doing this so it becomes like a Potter's play.
No.
I'm gonna analyze that thing on the day of the day.
Okay, so we'll put an ordinance on, Joyce. It'll be first reading.
Ordinance.
Talk to the lawyer.
Lawyer, I need a quick little ordinance that calls it the David. what's the-
David
Vanilla.
Vanilla.
Get the
Oh,
name
that's
spelled right.
I got it spelled right. Yeah, we'll make sure it's spelled right.
Venell.
So there's first reading.
David Elfman. You just email me the,
David L.
I will. Send you a picture of the sign.
Memorial Park.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be.
All right, who are we up to? Ms. Patson, keep going.
Oh, progress.
But if we didn't do that, we needed to do that. We need
Yeah,
to make it
yeah.
formal.
We
Then
should.
what we need to do is we need to get on Google and make sure that the map shows that up. You know, can I just say, the other thing with this is Hirsch Lake, Runnemede Lake Park. I think we need to put a sign up there. Part of this $25,000, I think we
Oh,
need
yeah.
to identify it.
Yeah.
I believe it's both. I believe it is dedicated as Runnemede Lake Park, but I think as a tribute to the Hirsch family, I think we still call it Hirsch Lake. Does everybody agree with that? You guys have a little more history than me.
No.
You know, like Hirsch.
Hirsch left, and they left a mess, so let them just be gone.
Mr. Farrow?
We don't want Hirsch on there anymore.
Wow, you are opinionated.
Because I told you they left a mess down at that house and everything else.
I just think, though, that there's a history.
Well, the history is bad.
Wait a
The
minute.
history is bad.
There's a history of Beaver
See,
Branch Park.
right here in the history book.
You know what, though? I don't disagree with that. And maybe you're 100% right, that there should be something that tells people that that's where that name came from, the tributary. And the
Yes.
tributary will always still be called the Beaver Branch Tributary. I agree with you. But
I'll never call it.
naming rights do change.
Hirsch Lake. I'll always call it
The Harry Williams Building, I think, is a classic example of it, correct?
It's called Hershey.
We'll put a sign up as part of this 25,000. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I
Okay.
think that's important.
You're done?
Tony's been
Yes,
doing
sir.
it.
Progress. Move on.
No, it was actually, I don't remember what it was called prior.
What?
Was it being built simultaneously? He died at the time it was being dedicated
Who?
or built?
Yeah, Harry Williams, yeah. it was
He
Julie
passed away at the
Williams'
same time?
husband. No, or maybe before,
He passed away before and they decided to name it.
correct.
Okay. So,
And the library is actually the Marion Dunleavy
yes.
Library.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
And there is a sign there. Miss Keller, would you like to know?
Well, I toured the firehouse last week,
Be nice. Be nice.
and
This is recorded.
Michael and Scott are now together in an office that used to be the old bunk room. And the bunk room is where the dispatch office used to be. The dispatchers are out now in the main area, each with their own desk.
So nice.
It looks very nice, very controlled. They're happy, which makes me happy. And so now all the fire department is over in the firehouse. The construction that was done last year, or most of this year, I think it was started back in February, is still in the process of being remediated because it didn't meet up to code. So we're waiting for Conley to give us the plans.
The architect.
The architect, to give us the plans.
The fire company's.
Yes. And we will see our next step with the remediation of that first area, the first phase. So much for the firehouse. We do not have the plans yet. Connolly is in the process. Then I toured the fire department. They have moved over into where the police department has moved over to where the fire department used to be. They have taken over all those offices.
Borough Hall, you're talking about, here.
Yeah, yes. And it's still in the process because the audio-visual room isn't done yet, and a lot of the painting and, the niceties haven't been done yet. But at least everybody has moved in, everybody has their own
So you're talking about
offices.
code enforcement's in there.
Code enforcement.
Office emergency management's in there.
Everybody's got their own office now, they have their own computers. The detective's office is big and beautiful, which never had. The evidence room is terrific. I was very pleased with the plans. It is not completed, it is still in the rough stage, but it will be done, and hopefully within the next month. Chief said probably by Christmas it'll be done. So I believe the chief. He's a very organized and scheduled person, as you all know. And he sets a goal for himself and he meets it. So that's my 2 tours, and I was impressed with both. Everything is coming along beautifully. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ellen.
Mr. Henry.
Thank you, Mayor.
It's my seniority if you don't figure out how I do it.
Is that, you change all the time.
No, I don't. Miss
Oh, you-
Miss Pinto has the agenda that's always been the order of who speaks at a council meeting. But a caucus meeting, I go by seniority.
Oh, okay.
I know you're used to going first at council meetings.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Hey, John.
In finance, Shelley spoke with Bowman today, and our audit is just about complete. We're waiting on our GASB report, which is the government accounting standards. We're waiting to see their report. And then our audit should follow within the next couple of weeks. We have, our audit had no findings, which is very good. That's fantastic. And Shelley would like to thank Joyce and Chris and Beth and Joy for all their hard work in the administration of getting all the work done. Been a team effort. Over the last couple of weeks, the grant applications have been filed for the body armor, municipal alliance grant, neighborhood preservation program, the bulletproof vest, and we will be filing for our first 20% of the funding for the body worn camera grant within this week. Shelley would also like to make all the department managers aware they should be thinking about the 2022 budget for each of the departments, and she will be sending out a sheet for them to start to complete, and we're hoping to have that back within a month. I want to jump right over to, out of finance, to the EV week, October 2nd at the Deptford Mall. Nick, you've been asked to come as well. If you're available that weekend, they'd like to see you in your wonderful car, your Mustang.
Ooh, that's
And
nice.
it's great that the police are coming. That's something they were very interested in. And Tri-County Sustainability, it's 101 towns, including us. And, you know, it's, we're heading in that direction, and we're looking to be more sustainable and energy efficient each and every year, and I believe we are getting there.
Is our Chevy Volt?
Well, that's the next thing. I want to bring that as well. Nick, I don't think we have to bring, because I am an employee, I don't think we have to bring bucket for that. I could just bring that vehicle up myself, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'll be bringing that up there.
Insurance laws when we drive vehicles.
I-
Stop.
You say yes.
The green team should make their presence there. Eleanor, if you're available, Patty, and anybody else, council. It's probably going to be amazing to see all the different electric vehicles. Whatever's out there, you're going to see. You know, it's going to be nice to have a variety of electric vehicles. That's it.
I know you said no,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it.
Oh, and one more thing, the Labyrinth. I've been working down there with the green team. We had
Saw
our,
the pictures.
yeah.
I like the same
Patty was
volunteers
there,
all the time.
Eleanor was there, and I've been digging it out every day.
I know, you're a good man.
You know what? It's looking really, it's done. It's done. We just got to do a little more of, we're using a pesticide-free weed killer to have a permanent effect on the grass around it so that it doesn't, that's tough grass. I don't know if it's zoysia or.
No, that ain't zoysia, that's
It's tough. So my question, Nick, I already talked to you about it, and I was hoping Harry was here, but he's not here.
No, Harry's not here.
I'd like to have some room or a key to the bathroom storage area, so I'll get with Harry to get that done.
We toured that the other day, it was very clean.
I only need I want to have a weed whacker, some hand tools and things like that, very simple, small spot is all I need. But I have to have it.
It was very clean in there. Who was there?
I don't really want everybody coming to my house to grab the tools.
Chill.
Nick, you understand? I don't want everybody coming to my house to grab the tools. It's okay, but I'm never always there.
You're just gonna have to secure it in that room.
Right. So I'll talk
Because
to
that
Harry.
room is used by many individuals.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Harry about that. Is Harry away?
Yeah.
Harry was moving.
He's moving,
Oh, yeah?
yeah.
Closer?
He's changing houses, that's all.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a long convoluted story.
Pretty far away, okay. And that's it. So Mary, you coming on October 6th?
I'll try.
All right, great. And the rest is progress.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
We down to Mr. Bowmanstein.
Not a lot to report. I haven't talked with Harry this week much. He's moving from one house to another. He had a rental property and he's moving on to another property. So it's been kind of a quick move. So he's staying in touch. But Public Works is riding right along. Not to step on Rich, but they were down there at softball field. Softball had their fun day. And they got down there on the Friday before. I tried to explain to Paul, the president of softball, that when you have special events, just let us know and we'll get it done on the day that they're supposed to be there. Many times with Public Works, or the organizations want stuff done right away, but they will do stuff when they are slated to be on that property. If they want extra stuff done, it gets done that day. So Tuesdays and Fridays, they mow the properties. If there's something for the weekend, then the special stuff will be done on that Friday, as long as Harry knows about it in due time, in a good enough time ahead of time. So it's been a long time with Public Works, you know, getting everything just moving along smoothly as far as the town is concerned. And as far as the people knowing that Public Works has a schedule. A lot of people think Public Works can just drop what they're doing and go to that special thing. And I think that's coming to an end, and the rest is progress.
Question?
Now, I'd like to talk about down at Green Acres, Beaver Grants Park, that kids' play area needs some TLC.
No, it's done.
Didn't
No,
you see it?
No, I haven't been down there.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
It looks great.
Well, I'll take it a step further. I think we need more, instead of, that's like our jewel. And we need more things for the kids to play down there. There's not
You're on
enough.
the committee, you got to go down there and keep.
Well, it shouldn't have
I've been
actually,
down there to get the grass cut because the
Yeah.
grass was that high, so
it
I.
shouldn't have taken that long.
It shouldn't have gotten that.
It took,
I
you're right, it
understand,
took
but
2 years and that was a mistake.
Yeah, so anyway, what I'm saying is, I think instead of getting stuff for different places around town, I think we should do that first, because that's like the main place the kids go.
Well, it was definitely a maintenance issue.
Right. And there's not enough stuff down there for the kids to play.
Oh, so you want to expand it?
Yeah, if possible, or just add some things to
I
it.
think they could have
What
some.
did they do down there? I haven't been down there
some
this
new-
week.
So-
It's beautiful.
Not that I believe in Facebook, and I dislike Facebook tremendously, and I hate Facebook, but my phone number is 609-707-3507. All you have to do is call me. When we have a complaint, we then find it. I mean, I don't go down to the park all the time, right? My kids are now grown, so I'm not down there a lot. I think Mr. Farrell, you know, saw how that the park had gotten a little bit behind. It was almost 2 years since we had put mulch down on the playground area, and it hadn't been sprayed for weeds. So the Public Works Department brought 64 yards of playground mulch down there. You should have reported that. And,
Right, there's a process that has to take.
oh, that was you?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry.
You gotta remember,
He jumped.
nobody was allowed on that playground for over a year. And then once we got it back
Yes.
open, we should have did something.
Yeah, you're 100% right. That's exactly what
I
happened.
remember, you said.
We kept people off of her for a year. That's unfair. You're right.
Right.
We did keep people off of it. And so you want to go right to yours? Because I jumped in and I mean, were you done? Jump on that part. Explain the part.
No, when, yeah, everybody sees the Facebook and everybody went crazy.
And they go to
bad.
Facebook
We needed
and
some
say,
work.
"Come to the
If they needed
source."
some TLC, so Public Works got together and they closed it down for what? 3 or 4 days?
Yeah,
3 days while they
3
sprayed
days.
us.
And they went to work. And
They did a fantastic
they did
job.
awesome job.
But what should have happened is what you're saying. It should either been on a schedule, or if people notice something in town, call
Say
us.
something, Say something.
Facebook is the worst thing in the world, because what it did was, it actually made the Public Works Department more apprehensive about doing the work, because they felt that they were being, you know, attacked, instead of saying that, you know, do you agree with that statement?
No, yeah, they felt attacked, but, you know, when you work for public, you're going to get attacked sometimes.
But these are employees.
Right, but.
attack me, attack you guys,
Right.
really nice.
Look, bad news sells.
They're not public.
I wonder if those people,
They're not public
They're
figures.
not, but everybody in town thinks they are because they
Yeah,
work.
that wasn't fair.
well, those same people should make a comment about how it looks now.
And some people,
They won't.
Nobody's saying the word.
Very funny.
Nobody's saying.
some people say positive things.
Some people do.
Bad news sells. That's what it is,
It's not even
unfortunately.
that, it's just, dissenting voices are louder, especially on an amplifying format like that.
Just little times like, I drive by the dog park once in a while. If I see it getting out of hand, I just send a text to Harry.
Was the dog park, I didn't look at that.
Dog park at times can get a little,
That's
because
what
it's
you
so
need
much
to do.
smaller.
Is it good? Have they done it or it's not?
It's good, but before
It's
it's
done?
Yeah.
yeah, but sometimes it can get a little behind with weeds and stuff
Well, I
like
think
that.
maybe,
Just anything.
you know, we have an obligation to tell people that they accomplish these things and they communicate with us, so maybe we do need to take pictures of both of those parks and say, we hear you, tell us. Bob, I haven't been down there since your kids were playing, some of your grandchildren were down there, so, you know, I don't always say, John and I, we weren't always paying attention, we went for a walk, you guys, so we need to be told sometimes.
I like Bob's suggestion that we should consider to see what's out there for kids, something cool. There is plenty of room around there. Just stick another item in there. And let's all look into it. Let's see what would be.
I did talk to Harry in regards to that, like I would say before the pandemic, because I found some really neat swings and things for infants. Then I had talked to Tara from the Rotary, and she was considering on buying some things. And then, of course, the pandemic came in, so.
Well, the Rotary did put an application in for some recreation or some, what do you call it, physical fitness equipment. And once again, council, our budget and our bond is our priorities. So maybe I spoke out of turn, but I thought that we had said that the police department with the EVs, I think we're all very supportive of replacing vehicles with energy efficient. If council, once again, if we have $600,000 or $700,000 to spend, where do we want to spend it? Do we want to spend it on, Eleanor has a big list, you know, but one ambulance can cost $250,000. But yet a playground equipment might only cost $15,000. So where do we spend?
That's
You
what
found
you
it,
want.
what, it was 35,000?
Depends on what we want for the stuff.
Squirting water.
Oh, yeah, I would love that.
Squirting water.
I'd like to make a suggestion. I'm not sure how
I
many
mean, what do you
handicapped
guys
children.
Like
thinking? Bigger
Efforts are bigger
or
now.
just upgrade?
I would like additional
So
things to
you don't
keep
want
them
to change
happy.
what's there, you just want to
Just
add
more stuff, more interesting.
Maybe just do one or two more
We could
pieces.
use
That's
some
it.
new.
You know, have you ever
I
been
mean,
to Star
that-
Park?
that-
Have you ever been to
that's not
Star
that
Park in
whole-
Barrington?
Mark, I mean,
Those seats are.
Have you ever been to Star Park in Barrington?
No.
No, my kids are grown. so-
My kids
So are considering adding equipment, check with Jim, because you can't mix age groups. So whatever you get for
That's
that
right.
has to be age appropriate for
right.
that park.
I would just like to suggest something.
What if it was in a different area
You can
instead of?
have it in a different area, and there's certain rules for having a fence. between
So
them.
separate.
Right.
But
Okay.
Mr. Ranieri, you want to talk about the,
I do, you know, handicapped children, I don't know, I don't have any clue how many children we have that are wheelchairs or handicapped. Adults as well, and maybe even seniors, I don't know. But they have these swings that you can roll in the wheelchair, close it, and you can swing, and it gives people the sensation of doing something they generally don't have an opportunity to do. We should consider that. I don't know if we have the need for that, or too small in town, but it's something that should be on the table when we're investing money.
I think we're always looking at making things, breaking down the barriers, right? Look what we did here in the Borough Hall. We took a lot of time and effort to do that. I think we're looking at it at the firehouse. We're trying to help them out with their aging membership. You know, did you want to say some more? Because I'll segue right into the senior
Now,
stuff.
the only thing with the kids ones is I guess, Jeff, but when you add kids, there's a lot more opportunity for funding for kids parks. Like when I was looking into the adult ones, there's hardly any funding for help with that, so that's why that's always gets more expensive. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
funding with the state and everything out there's always more.
And of course, we always can use our own money.
Right.
Before, we were talking about the park, or the kids' park there. Tell them what Harry wants to do with the fencing behind.
Well, when we went out there to look at this dedication, the idea was, where's the sign going to be? Where are people going to park? Where are chairs going to be set up? Moving some signs, doing some general maintenance and trying to get the place looking as sharp as possible in such a limited period of time before the event. But one of the ideas was if you saw where the trees are by where the playground area is, there's a large grassy area, actually moving that fence a little bit, because when the branches break, they tend to hit that fence. You remember how the fence is all damaged?
Yeah.
So I believe that Harry's getting a price to move that fence back. So that's a little more enclosed in that area. I don't think, it doesn't affect the playground at all. It just simply it just kind of cleans it up a little.
There are 2 benches beside the playground.
Right behind the benches.
Yeah, one to
So
the
it
right-
shrinks the playground up a little bit.
No,
No,
not
it
at all.
doesn't shrink
the
the playground,
playground.
it shrinks up
No,
the grass.
just the
area.
grassy area,
Grass area.
where they have to get the lawnmowers in and cut.
It's hard, it's very, not hard, very, but it's harder for Public Works to get in there with their mowers. It slows them down because they gotta go through gates. If they shrank that area, it would make them much more efficient.
And it's a little more open area.
But
It
that
might be
area
a
is
little
not going to
overflow part.
affect the expansion of that playground or
No.
what?
No.
Keep that in mind, and we were trying to realign that if you ever do that path on the opposite side.
That's exactly, we went over that too. We went over that the driveway will shift, so this fence will actually get out of the way. So actually, it's an improvement towards that long-term plan. You remember, we talked about that the idea we have, well, you know, the public has to walk in the road, which is terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
Where that, this all would help. By moving that fence a little bit, it will help shift that driveway over. But once again, this is where all this money comes from. Every time we talk, you know, throw everything into a pile. Guys, it's millions and millions of dollars. We have hundreds of thousands. So this is where we have to pick and choose where we get our bang for the buck. So let me just segue into a couple quick things. If everyone's not aware, the POs and construction work is happening at the senior center right now. The ceiling has been removed, and the new ceiling grid has gone up.
Now, we'll be able to put our solar up there. Is
No,
that
no.
correct?
Well, this is inside.
This is
Talking
the
about inside.
ceiling.
He's talking about inside.
It's a drop ceiling.
It's a drop ceiling. I apologize.
Oh,
Inside,
And
inside
the
of
pictures.
it. Ooh.
So I went in, the ceiling's down, and that's it. The carpet has already been delivered. So the carpet is there, the painter's been
Wow.
hired.
Have you seen
The
that?
same decorator that Ms. Vicenda used for the library is the
Yeah.
same contractor that's doing the carpet and the painting. It's
Nice.
one contractor. And they're putting blinds.
Thank God,
Oh, you do
finally.
that, blinds.
Do you remember what that looked like in that senior center?
The ceiling will be solid across, so remember how the tiles kept falling? There's tiles that
Oh.
are nice.
Oh,
This-
so is it's still gonna be a drop ceiling?
It's a drop ceiling, but it'll be level, brand new.
And-
New
and-
lights.
And how long is it gonna be before we get leaks?
It's not.
What time is it?
Stop.
It's gonna rain tonight, so maybe, you know,
Is there a guarantee? That's what I'm asking.
It's indoor.
We'll find out.
the ceiling tile,
This is inside.
these ceiling tile have nothing to do with the roof above.
But the roof is leaking.
The roof has been repaired several times. I hope it's fixed.
Things leave the room.
Oh,
I'm
We
tired
all
of
get
spending money on things that are just superficial because, yeah, we're gonna have a nice ceiling, but is it protected? Because it leaks all the time up there.
when was the last time you were there?
Was there about a month ago?
Was it leaking?
Oh, I don't know.
No, it hasn't leaked. I don't believe it's leaked for over a year.
It has not.
Is that correct? I mean, I haven't been in there. I was in there a
There's
month
actually
ago.
two shots if you want to see
Only to look in our closet, the women's club closet,
They-
to see what we needed for our meetings. They're
What?
gonna start up.
Eleanor, what is coming up very soon in November? And
Election.
what are we gonna do early?
You see it, John?
Early voting. So we're trying to get ready for all that.
I-
So let me continue, since you're going off on your tangent about a leak, which none of us here can control, other than the fact that we can keep hiring contractors to fix it.
Why
So-
can't we get a good roof up there?
We
I mean,
are.
they-
We are.
Are these lights
We're
coming
getting a
in,
whole
or are we
new
getting
roof.
the?
So let me finish. So the senior, the drop ceiling is being done right now. The walls will be painted, new carpet will be in, and the lights through the PSE&G grant are also been signed off and a PO's been given. So the lights should be in. So the way it
And
works,
they're
guys.
the energy efficient.
They are.
lights.
They are solid LED lights.
Yeah.
So what happens is, so everyone knows, is the drop ceiling grid goes in first. Then the electrician comes in and puts these lights in. Then the contractor comes back and puts all the ceiling tile in. The walls will be painted, the carpet will go down, and then the outlets, there will be outlets on the walls because the early voting requires some additional machines.
I know.
And a TV for the seniors will go in.
Oh, nice.
I think we're gonna get them Netflix and Hulu.
I'm joining.
And,
And Disney.
I'm
and
joining.
Disney Plus. We're doing them all.
Hulu, you get Disney Plus and
Okay, we're gonna do all that.
and ESPN Plus.
Oh, somebody's gotta teach them how to use it.
Yeah.
Wait a minute,
I wanna
they
see
get
that.
lunches
I
and TV?
Hold
wanna
up.
see that.
They got a bunch of grandkids, about 5.
They all got young kids, grandkids, right? They got, you know.
Did you find out which wall they wanted on?
It's all between Mr. Wozunk and Mrs. Mikulski to decide on that. The Harrowings roof, the PO was done. It should be coming soon. The material is.
Now that's,
Stop.
that's where the solar panels
I'm
are.
gonna gavel you right now. No, Miss Kelly, the roof has to be repaired first. Once the new roof goes on, then we can start the process of looking at solar panels and things like that.
Why can't we do it all together? Why can't we do everything right then and there? Why put more? Oh,
Yeah. Remember that little thing? And it's also, it's a
That shut me
the
up.
Scout building roof also, the PO was given for the Scout building roof. So the roof's gonna get replaced first, the new shingles and any panels that are bad. And the architect did design a small little A-frame. That all get done, I think, simultaneously. The prep work for the dedication we talked about, the sign will be going up a week ahead of time so that and it'll be covered, and then the landscapers, Public Works will do some landscaping, make it look nice. Ms. Passio said that she'll put a nice, what did you call it?
What did I say, sash?
A sash. So when you guys do the dedication, I won't be here, I apologize, I'm going to a wedding, and you'll just, you can cut it, and we'll look very nice and do that. The prep work also includes a little bit of logistics about some chairs, and I think we've decided we might need some additional cones, only because the people won't have to walk as far. But the more things that Public Works get done, the easier it will be for this dedication. But they're doing what they can do. That's about all that I have. Do you want to go to the attorney? Mr. Anything else you wanted to add?
Facades, cannabis, and the rest is progress.
Okay. Why don't we do the bills and then we'll do the good and welfare? Someone make a motion to pay the monthly bills?
I'll make a motion to pay the monthly bills.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Lobenstein. Roll call, please.
Who was it?
Ms. Passio,
Yeah.
Ms. Lobenstein.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
And Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
Sorry.
All right, we'll do good and welfare. Anyone from the public wishing to speak? No? Okay, let's talk later. Motion to close the public portion?
I'll make a motion to close the
And I'll second that.
Oh,
Okay, Bob.
motion by
And
Mr.
Bob, you
Lobenstein,
got it.
second by Mr. Farrell. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, public portion is closed. I know we did a lot. I really need
I
you
think it was a
guys,
great meeting.
I need you guys though to do a little more homework on this cannabis and the facade enhancement and the redevelopment. Just put your thoughts down on a piece of paper. Because that's, one thing nice about what we do is we can create something, but we can also take it away. Planning board, however, once we give them the footprint or the plan, they approve it. We can't go and change it after it's approved, correct? So when we do this land use ordinance, we think about where, when, how, all this kind of stuff. That's set in stone. Think about it. Once somebody opens a restaurant in town, we can't say we don't want restaurants anymore. They're there. You know, change of use is a very difficult thing. Once we allow use, getting rid of that use is very difficult. I'm really curious about towns that allow this. In 5 years, they're allowed to rescind it. I'm not quite sure how that works. How do you rescind if the use is already permitted?
With a lot of headache, Mayor, with a lot
I
of
can
headache.
only imagine.
Which is why it's important to dip your toe in the water as opposed to jumping too far. And I think we're striking the appropriate balance, because at the same time, it's a commercial and an economic development.
So the only thing I'm going to ask our attorney to do for me and us is to create a letter that we will give to any potential applicant. I know, you make me do it?
No, I just, because you didn't return my call today, I'm so upset about that.
Didn't you do that last month too?
No.
I have this thing called this other job that I have to work on. I did, I couldn't.
I'm just teasing.
So the letter, I believe, should say exactly what he was, as Mr. Long was saying. That while we're not saying we approved your application or we approved your plan, that council's intent, that we intend to allow this as a
How about
conditional
this?
use.
It will meet the legal requirement.
Yeah. So that they know that Runnemede is at least open to
My
this.
corner.
Anything else to that? Does that make sense?
No.
No, but do you understand why we can't approve the application? We can't pick who the person
I
is.
do.
It's going to be someone
And
who
you don't
comes
want
to
to-
needs to stand
You
up.
don't want to.
No, no, I understand.
You know,
First
I just don't like the idea of going with anything.
Yeah.
I really.
Well, I think what you have to do then is you have to convince other members of council to vote that way. I don't have a vote. I only have a tie vote.
I know.
So, and I hope I don't, I know I put my opinions out there pretty vigorously.
Yes, they're very strong.
But-
They're very strong.
You guys had the final vote, and you guys have
We
voted
know
me,
that.
you've gone against me
But
several times when I
I'm
push
speaking
something.
for
I'd like to see a tie-breaking vote. We haven't had it
But
yet.
remember,
Let's do
Ms.
it.
Kelly, bring up the people, I mean, that would, there
Well,
was
we had it at least
3-to-1 margin that supported.
With me? I don't think so.
I believe it's happened a couple times.
No,
It doesn't happen
3-to-1
on Monday when
margin
we were talking about fixing the
supported.
Harry Williams.
Canada's won by
You
more
guys
than
overrode me on the Harry Williams vote.
Weed is more popular than you and Runnemede, Mrs. Kelly, I hate to say. Is it passed by a 3-to-1 margin? I think that's, I think it was.
But I would
really
argue that
close.
the state of New Jersey was close to 3/4. The whole state was
Yeah.
75%. It was almost unanimous, it was almost uniform throughout the whole state.
And I think we're right in line with that,
Yeah.
especially here, so I think that's a
I don't have
factor.
a problem with retail, and you know why.
Right.
People want to be able to walk up to the corner and buy their liquor. They want to be able to buy their pot. I'm all for that.
No pot.
Yeah.
But why do you think a
Sorry.
warehouse is
Right.
bad?
The environmental factor.
That's
It's
interesting.
huge. It's
So-
a huge environmental factor.
Would you feel better if I were to tell you that in the rules and regulations that were promulgated, because, you know, we're New Jersey and we're under the administration we have,
Yeah.
there are significant environmental restrictions on wholesalers, manufacturers. It's not going to be like a Superfund site or anything like that. They sure do. So if that's your concern,
Yes.
I see it, but I don't think it's what you fear it is.
Did you see that 10-point checklist that they put out for the environment? You know it.
Yeah. Not off the top of my head, but I'm familiar with the document.
Right, right.
So
We have to be aware of that.
we certainly are, and, you know, like I said,
And
the
that's my
New
concern.
Jersey DEP is
How
not-
much will we let this get beyond our control?
I think by setting the limitations you are, the conditional uses, which is why I feel so strongly
So
about conditional.
how much electricity can you use? How much water can you use? Is this gonna be part of our conditional use?
No. Yeah, they're
We're gonna
charging.
do that for
You're gonna
any.
tell
We're
the
gonna do that
a
for
hotel
any.
that, or you're gonna tell a factory?
I
That's why
wanna
you
tell the pot people that. I don't want
Other
them using
people
all
can't do it
the
for them.
I think she's gonna become after it's legal. She's gonna come in.
She's gonna be the first customer.
No, you have to understand,
I'll
the
bring brownies next
environmental
week.
factor is
I'll be here.
so huge, so
I'll bring
huge.
the coffee.
But I would argue that that's something
If we
that,
cannot control how much electricity they use, if we
Nobody
can't
controls how
control.
much electricity they use.
Yes, we can, if we make that a conditional use.
Yeah, we
My
can.
son does this. They remember the word arbitrary and capricious. We have to make sure we can't get sued.
Sure. We would get sued and no one would come, and we'd be all, the whole conversation was a waste of time.
I think one of the things that I just wrote down, because I was thinking about it some more, was when you talked about the environmental stuff, I think part of our conditional use should be a landscape plan. That there should be an idea that it should be attractive on the outside. And I talked about traffic, I talked about a traffic study. I think we should require a traffic study. Those are things we could put in a conditional use, correct, Mark?
No, we're not gonna hire Schwab, right?
No, we force them to do it.
Oh, what a-
I don't know, I think you're right, I don't know if it means anything.
Hey, Nick, I think we
What
should
a
follow
loser
the
that
impervious
No,
coverage.
no,
The impervious coverage.
that's already in
Do you
our
want to
ordinance.
do it quick, or do you want to be?
Yeah, but
comfortable?
we don't seem to be following
It's
it.
not that we're doing, I don't want to say we're rushing, but at the same time,
We grant
you know,
variance.
Mayor, our conversations over the last
Just
month have been that you
What, new
want
construction?
to approach this issue
Against-
with emergency, and you're right to do
Yeah,
so.
look at the plan.
But we have to have some
Not that much.
regulations to help us.
That's why it's
We can
conditional.
make- we can make that-
But we have to put the conditions in. We actually have to set the
No, we
conditions.
will, but remember, your
If it's,
your
they have to
general
build it up.
code enforcement processes don't go away.
Okay, so all that underlining stuff
Sure.
is still there.
You treat it as any
Well,
other
if we can
business.
say that, then it has to meet all the other underlining.
You don't even need to- I have asked, you don't even need to do that.
You don't even need to say it.
It is when you open a business or live here, you are subject to the rules.
So how would that affect a cultivator? How would that affect a how does our code enforcement man go into a cultivator's warehouse and make regulations that we would want enforced?
So
How
I
could,
don't know,
how,
I don't
like
know
say,
what you want. That's the
well,
problem.
I don't want them to be, I don't want them to waste water, and I don't want them to use electricity that's gonna blow our grid. Do you see what I'm
We
saying?
should come to my house and
We're
tell my
talking
son.
about California. And,
It's not gonna blow the grid, it's not gonna waste water.
How do you know that? That's what I'm saying.
we're talking about two things.
Can we finish this meeting?
We did not. All right, let's close the meeting.
Okay.
Is there